Well, Sony were usually pretty good with their camcorders, but when they drop the ball, they really drop the ball. Watch the hell that I'm going to have to go through because of a crappy design of a very expensive camcorder. How expensive, you ask? Well, how about $6,000? Because that's what I paid for this piece of crap. So I've talked about my production business in the past, and I've shown some of the equipment, and this piece of equipment here, this was the last piece of professional equipment that I bought. As in terms of high-end equipment. Even though these other two cameras here can shoot a much better quality picture because they're 4K, these are also only single sensor cameras. But this one has a 1-inch sensor, and this one can actually shoot a very good picture. And this one has by far the best picture quality of any of the cameras that I own. This one here also has an equivalent picture. A little smaller sensor. This is the 20.6 megapixel AX33. What I'm shooting this on right now is the AX53, which looks identical to this one, but it only has, I think, a 16 megapixel sensor on it. But it has a longer lens. I have to pause for dump trucks going up the road because they're tearing a house down up the street from me. But anyway, these superior quality in terms of picture quality to this, and of course there's also this little one here. This is the smallest of my HDV cameras, and the neat thing about this is it uses the same battery as my 4K cameras. But look at this one. This was an engineering marvel. Uses a tape, of course. It's high definition. It records high definition onto a standard HD or a standard DV tape. So other than my JVC GY DV500, which also doesn't work, that was the most expensive camera I bought outright. Every other broadcast camera that I had prior to that, like my EVW300 and my Betacam, I always bought them used. They are always lease returns that came back from TV stations. Now the only reason I ended up with this, I had the GY-DV500, which was the big, it's even bigger, it's an ENG style professional DV camera. And I was happy with the quality of that. In around 2000, and I think it was 2003, or was it 2004? Is there a date on this thing when it was made? But I got this when it first came out, so there should be a date on here of when this one was produced. Does it say? I don't think it says. But I got it right when it first. Yeah, that even the stickers have a part code. Every sticker had a part number. Everything. There's the part number for this. That's the part number for that sticker, for the serial number sticker. Anyway, where was I going? Oh yes, the only reason I ended up with this camera was because clients were starting to ask for their productions to be shot in HD. HD was the big thing in the early 2000s. Everybody wanted their stuff shot in HD. I was very reluctant at first to run out and spend another $6,000 because that's what this camera cost on a new camera. But my former business partner, he was chomping at the bit. He was promising his clients that we were shooting everything in HD, and we were losing jobs to the competition because we weren't shooting in HD. Not that it made any difference, because most of the jobs were still being handed out to the client on VHS, but client wanted to feel special, and the client was paying the bill, and I was getting weddings that were being asked to be shot in HD too. And I looked at my calendar for, I think it was 2004 maybe, and I saw that I had like 15 weddings already booked with $1,000 deposit on each one. So I figured, okay, why not? I'll go buy the camera. So I buy the camera, and we shot for a couple of years, and then I ended up winding the company down because my business partner, he ended up getting cancer, and unfortunately he didn't make it. He only lived about 3 months, but from the time he found out, which he told me, he thought he had the flu. He was just tired and run down, and he just thought he had a bad cold or the flu. And he went to the doctor, and turned out he had aggressive acute leukemia, and it was not responsive. So unfortunately we lost him. But anyway, he ended up selling his side of the company. I'll tell you guys how we worked is, I had my own company, and my own company did my own production stuff, which was weddings and special events and slideshows and video conversions like PAL and CCAM 10 TSC and vice versa, and home movie films. And I did that work for 3 photo labs out in the area. Did all their conversion work, did all their film transfer work. That was 100% mine and nobody else's. And then I had a business partner, and he had his own company, and he did his own stuff. Same thing, weddings, conversion work. He didn't do any film transfer work. I actually did his film transfer work for him, but he had an AGW1 as well, so he did his own conversions, and he did tape duplicating and stuff, and he shot weddings with 1 camera. And then one day we were talking, and we thought, let's form a company together and concentrate on our corporate videos. Gordy, he was very good in marketing. He could sell you anything. He was getting, at the time, to do film transfer work. I was charging people 10 cents a foot to do film transfer work. He was taking the work that I did and marking it up to 25 cents and peddling it off as his own, and people were happy to pay him. I was hard pressed to try and get 10 cents a foot. I'd get 10 cents a foot, and somebody would say, "Can you do it for 6?" Right? So it's but he was a very good salesman. He could sell you a beachfront property in Las Vegas. You know, good talker, and very good at really convincing people to spend a lot more money than they really wanted to spend. So I let him, when we were doing corporate stuff, I let him do the sales, and he would sell the client and book the order, and the client would come to me, or I'd see the client, and we'd set everything up. I would do the writing of the script and do the photography and edit it, and bring in a voice talent to do the voiceover work, because back then I thought my voice sounded terrible on mic, and I didn't want to do the voiceover work. So I brought in a radio personality and paid him. Then when the production was done and edited, I would hand the tape over to Gordon. He would make the copies for the client, and I was paid basically I was paid as a contractor, because he would contract me to do the production work, and then he would do the copies, and I'd be paid a production fee, and then he would make his money making the copies, and the more copies he could sell, the more money he would make. And we did that for a number of years. We did that for about 10 years, if not more. But he was a terrible camera operator. He didn't know what he was doing. He would always try to edit in camera, and he did not believe in post-production editing. He always believed that he was going to edit everything in camera right there at the time, so that he could start making copies, and did not want to spend any extra time. And that's why he was terrible at doing corporate stuff. That's one of the reasons I think he brought me on board, was because I had all the editing equipment, and I had all the high-end equipment, so I could turn out a much better quality product than he could. So he brought me on board as a partner, and I owned all the equipment. But anyway, when he passed away, or before he passed away, he sold his side of the business to a guy that we'll call him Raj, because that's what his name. I always referred to him as Raj. It was Rajit or whatever. I don't know what his whole full name was, but yeah, this guy started treating me like I was an employee, and he started negotiating different rates for me, and becoming very demanding. Anyway, it became too much to deal with this guy. He was treating me like an employee, as opposed to someone who owned the vast majority of the high-end equipment, including this camera. So one day I just cleaned house and said, "That's it, I'm done." Collected what was mine, and that was it. That was the end of that. Now remember what I've been saying about, if you don't use your equipment, it's going to fail. Well, I like to try and fire up my equipment once in a while and just run a tape through it, just to keep things working. And I haven't used this one for a while, and I went to use it just to run a tape through it last night. And when I opened it up, it won't close. It won't load the tape. All it'll do when I unplug the power and plug the power back in is open the cassette. Just like that. So that's what we're going to try and fix on this one. I'm sure it's probably a switch that's not activating when I close it to tell the system that it needs to load the tape. I've never worked on one of these before, so we're going to take this one apart very carefully and see whether I can find that switch and fix it. Fingers crossed I can do it, and otherwise I've got a nice paperweight. If anything, I need to get the door closed though, because otherwise it's going to fill up with dust and then it's going to be even in worse shape than it is now. So let's start on this one and see if I can figure out how to take it apart.
Soon you will see why this is a really bad design.
This being a Sony, it's going to have arrow mark screws, which it does. So let's start by removing the arrow mark screws and see whether the side cover will pull off the camera. As I say, I've never opened this one up before or anything like it. I did work on a VX1000 a few times, as I had one, and I used to fix them all the time for somebody else that had them. More than likely this handle's going to have to come off, and there'll be ribbon connectors, I'm sure, on it. And another couple screws up here. Some of these screws are different sizes too. Did it make note of that? There's an arrow indicating right there that that screw needs to come out. And there's another arrow on this side indicating that that screw has to come out. And I'm going to take this hand strap off just before it gets in the way. Oh, there's two more screws. Two more screws at the back here. This thing's got tally lights and everything everywhere. There's a tally light right here on the back of the camera, so that if the viewfinder's up, you can see that it's recording. It's got lights everywhere on this little camera. It's quite the little unit. So that probably lifts this out, which it does. And I'm sure that this has probably got no ribbon cable on this, but there is ribbon cables here that have to come undone. So we'll undo this connector first, and then we'll remove these two screws, and that should lift the handle off. These look to be bigger screws too, so I'll put those over there. The mount, the handle has larger screws on it because you're carrying the camera by this. So it's actually got the bigger screws. Now this should lift this off. Just looking to see if there's any more ribbon cables, because I'm sure that there probably is up front here. Something's holding it. What is it? Probably got to take this cover off first. It almost looks like this side cover should pull off first, which is what I need to get out, is the side cover. But I can't because it's being trapped by this door. See, I think this is all part of the top cover, and this whole thing has to come off. The side cover has to come off in order for it to get to the connector to undo that, unless I have to take the handle apart to get at the connector. There's another screw over here. I wonder if this handle has to come apart. A little bit more work, I tell you. A lot. I mean, the screws on this side too, but I don't know that these ones have to come out to get. I mean, they might. They may have to come out, but at this point, I don't think so. Unless this top has to come off. Screws are not marked with arrows, but this top may have to come off. Maybe this is where it unplugs on the top here. There's a couple more screws up here. Somewhere that ribbon cable unplugs from the, it's either going to unplug on the camera side or it's going to unplug. Okay, now that comes off there, and there's a ribbon cable plugged in there. But I don't think that helps me with the other one. This is the ribbon cable that runs down the back that I've already unplugged. There's another one that runs up the front here to these controls. I undo this one. Okay, I know what's going on here. There's a cover that's got to come out here. Let me just pop it out. Okay, there's that little cover out. That's what that other screw held in place. And then there's a connector. The ribbon connector is actually right there. We can unplug it from the, it's just a plug-in type, so let's pop that out. I think it'll unplug. It's a plug. Get a closer look at that. Yeah, it should just unplug. Just pop it open. Hopefully it'll just unplug. Like that. Now I can lift the handle off. Like that. A lot of work. So I didn't have to take this one off. I can put that back on, but there's the ribbon. It's unplugged. Now I can probably take this piece out and take the camera apart. Man, a lot of work to take this thing apart. Let me just put this one back on since I don't need this piece off at this point. So let me just reattach this one and put the screws back in for it. Incidentally, this was Sony's last of their prosumer 3 CCD cameras. Well, yeah, it was. This was the last of the 3 CCD. The 3-chip cameras did continue beyond this, but they were 3 CMOS. This was actually CCD, this one. Okay, now I've got that part of the camera open. What do I need to take open now? I need to get this side cover off. So now, hopefully the side cover will actually lift off now. Of course not. This should just lift right off. It's loose. It's just not. Something's holding it on. Is there another screw in here somewhere? Who knows what Sony engineers were thinking when they put this thing together, right? For you guys that are tired of seeing camcorder videos, believe me, as I said, I'm tired of making them. So this one should be the last one that you'll see for quite a while. Take out these 2 screws and then the side cover should pop off. And then hopefully the other side will come off and I'll be able to find out why this is not closing the tape compartment. As I say, I suspect a switch is what's causing it. Okay, side cover comes off. Okay, that side's off. And of course there'll be a ribbon connector on here somewhere, which there is. Just undo that. That's for the zoom controls, I think, and the start stop button. So we'll just unplug this one carefully. Okay, that's got the side cover off. I'll do the hand strap. Quite the build on this thing. Yeah, I can see why it's not opening up. There's a screw right here on the chassis, which of course I can't remove because the mechanism is up. There's a screw there that holds, I don't know if I can get it out or not, but there's a screw in here that prevents the cabinet from coming apart. Good going, Sony. This is something that JVC would do. Stupid idiots. And of course, the one part that you don't want to force is the mechanism. But what can you do when it's stuck up? Stupid design. Maybe that'll release the cabinet. Probably not, because the cabinet's going to get trapped by this mechanism that's up.
They really didn't think this one through. Nobody considered that a switch might fail that would prevent the mechanism from loading. And if the mechanism is in the unloaded state, you cannot remove the cover. It will not come off. I fiddled around with this for a while. The cover will not come off. There is no way to remove that cover with that mechanism up. And there's no way to lower the mechanism because you cannot access the loading motor to put a power supply on it to crank the mechanism down. It's just it boggles the mind that they didn't think of this and a failure like this. I wonder how many of these got tossed out because of this problem.
Those switches actually over on this side here that gets activated. Probably the same type of switch as those 8mm cameras. There's a little lever switch that gets activated when you close it. But I can't get at the stupid switch without taking the mechanism apart. I have to take the top off this piece if I can. Hopefully it won't fall all apart, because it looks like it's trapped with this top plate. Does this lift off? No, it doesn't. Great. The very thing that's preventing the top from lifting off is the chassis that's up. And of course, the chassis won't go down. So it's kind of a catch-22. You can't take the stupid camera apart with the chassis up. And I don't want to break anything, but that may end up happening. Will this base come off? Probably not. That is the rechargeable battery, by the way, which does not come out, and this bottom doesn't come off either because that little circuit board is trapped in there. I was just wondering if there was a way I could get in here to take this thing apart, but Jesus, talk about Can you believe this? It doesn't unplug. It's plugged in on the other side, but you can't get at the plug because it's accessible only from underneath here. Ah, you gotta be kidding me. What is... If this is not an asinine design, I have never seen one like it. It's just... Well, I know what type of camera I'll never ever offer to fix for somebody, ever. Somebody wants me to fix it, one of these, I'll say, sorry, not this is not my idea of a good time, that's for sure. I may end up just putting this back together and tossing it in a box and saying, screw it. I don't want to get to that point yet, but you know where I'm coming from. What a, just a joke. A joke of design. I'm just wondering if I can get into this little switch here and see if I can activate the stupid thing and see if I can just move it enough to make it work. Because I'm sure it's this little switch right down in there. That's where the stupid fault is. I can't get this mechanism apart. I can't take the side off with the mechanism up. It's simple as that. It will not release because it's trapped behind here. There's just no way to do it. So I'm just wondering if I can get that switch and manipulate it enough that I can maybe get it to clean. Flick it back and forth enough times. Maybe I can get it to work. Oh geez, I just got it to go down. What the heck? Is it gonna work now? Wouldn't that be nice? If I can get this out. Now this won't close. Why won't it close? Did I bend something? Oh, damn. I think I may have bent something. Ah, crap. Okay, I think it was just when I put this piece back on, I was on the wrong side. This little catch was on the wrong side here. It was preventing the door from closing. I just took this off and it works. Whew. Oh my God, that was... I didn't even have to take the whole camera apart. It was just that stupid switch. I knew it was going to be that switch. I just couldn't get at the thing. And now it's opening again. Oh my God, that was a... I was so nervous that I was going to damage this mechanism. I was going to bend something on here. So I didn't want to force anything, but I think I can put this thing back together now, and fingers crossed I haven't damaged anything. Oh, why didn't it go down? Does that switch need to be cleaned some more? It went down once. I think I should get some cleaner into that switch while I've got it open here. But I'm just going to put some of the screws back in. Well, I guess I can do that in a minute. Let me just get some cleaner and shoot it into that switch and try not to get it onto anything else other than that switch. Otherwise, we're going to have the same problem again. But the little switch is right... I don't know if you guys can see it or not through here, but it's right down there. It's a small little white switch right there. That is the switch that causes us all the trouble with this bloody thing. What a joke. Everything's revolving around that stupid little switch. I'm going to try and get some deoxit, just the liquid deoxit, into the switch without getting it into anything else. I'm going to hold the camera in such a way that you guys probably won't be able to see what I'm doing, but I'm going to hold it in such a way that I can try and get the dropper onto the switch and just put some into the switch itself. I don't want to use an aerosol spray because I don't want overspray that's going to cause a problem in the mechanism. I don't want any oil or any liquid getting anywhere near the tape transport. I just want to get some cleaner into that stupid switch, and hopefully it'll be enough that it'll keep it clean. There, I think I got some in there. Okay, let's plug it in and see whether it works. I guess it's not good enough yet. Okay, I got a little more cleaner in there. Let's just see whether it goes down. This is precisely why, if you have any of these old tape-based camcorders, if you want to keep them running, do yourself a favor, fire them up and run a tape through them on a regular basis. Like, I would say haul it out at least once a month and open it and run through everything, right? Might help if I actually put the cabinet screws in. It was catching there. Let's throw that one screw in there to hold this cabinet in place for now. I think it's probably okay at this point, and I can start the reassembly and we'll test it all out and make sure that it works. Okay. Now time to start reassembling this piece of crap. And hopefully it will work. And hopefully you guys learned something about these cameras, and what was the Achilles heel of this thing was the design such that, oh, wait a minute, I have to, before doing this, there's a screw I got to put in the back. So I'm just going to open this so it doesn't try to open. See, now if I remove this screw, this cabinet should pop right off because the mechanism is down. But you see, here's the problem with this design. If we look here, Sony in their wisdom have this ledge right here. And when the chassis comes up, it blocks this ledge. So how the hell can you take the cover off if the chassis is jammed up? You can't. With the chassis down, then yeah, the whole top will just lift, the whole side should just lift off, just like that. Wow. See? That's how it comes apart. And if I undo this if I undo this connector over here, I don't need to, but if I undo this connector here, we could work on the chassis. I could actually probably clean that switch better now if I unplug this ribbon cable. And okay, so there's the mechanism. You can see the Achilles heel. When this mechanism is up, there's no bloody way in hell you can take the side cover off. It doesn't matter how hard you try. You cannot remove the side cover when the mechanism's up. The problem is, how do you get the mechanism down without taking the side cover off? You can't access the terminals here on the motor to apply power to it to lower the mechanism, it's not going to work because you can't get the side cover off enough to get at the stupid mechanism. It's kind of a stupid, ridiculous, stupid design that somebody at Sony thought was a great idea when they built it, but they should have made the cover so the cover could be taken off regardless whether the chassis was up or down. There's the little DV chassis. Isn't that thing cool? I always admired these little tiny mechanisms. It's like a DAT, but it's a VCR. But even more precision. I just love it. Look at the chassis on these things. I think those are so cool. And this little scanner spins at 9,000 RPM as it records. But as you can see, there's even on here, there's little fingers that wrap to keep the tape in place, so the tape doesn't actually the tape can't flip over here and get jammed up. You know, they really did a good job, I think, designing this one. But of course the Achilles heel for this is that stupid switch that's on the side. Now, if I put power to this when it's closed, I can open it and we can get at that switch a little better. So the little switch that's problematic is right here. This is the one here. That little switch there. That's the one that causes all the trouble for this stupid thing not closing. What it does is when you close down the mechanism, if you watch here, you'll see that when this catch comes down, it goes around this little, this is the latch here, this little ball, this little roller here. This is the latch that holds it shut. And this catch goes around there. And when it goes around there, you'll see what it does. See, it goes down and it clips in place. Well, it's not going to do it now because the mechanism is open, but it's in the eject position. But normally what happens is, now what ejects it is when the mechanism lifts up all the way, a little bar comes down here and flips this open. And that's what releases it. So if I were to back this up just a little tiny bit, oops, the other way, like that. Now when I close this down, that catch will lock in place. See? If I flip the catch is right here. If I flip the catch, which I can do, I think from here too, on the spring. Anyway, if I flip this catch, it'll open. So I can do it from the motor here. So open. See, and then it goes. Then once it does that, it goes like that. There is a mode switch down here as well. Right, there is a mode switch here, which is another reason why you want to operate it so that the mode switch stays clean. But normally, when you close it down, that little lever will drop into place, as you'll see. Right down there where my finger is, and you'll see it push that switch. Wait a sec, I'm still not reset. So, and it's positive up this way to eject, and positive to the bottom to. So now it's ready to latch. So I might go. See, it latches. Open it again, just like that. So I want to see if I can get some more cleaner into this switch. Now that I've got it open, I should be able to get in there with the deoxit, and we'll just throw a bunch of cleaner in there that should keep this thing good for a while, I hope. Now we'll just lower the mechanism down so I can put the camera back together. You'll see the pinch roller engages there and everything. Disengage the pinch roller. Now I can start the process of putting this thing back together, which hopefully won't take me near as long as it took me to take it apart, because I didn't know what the heck I was doing when I was taking it apart. And reversing this should be relatively straightforward. Just plug the ribbon cable in, put the side cover on, and start putting in the screws. One cable. We'll open up the side cover here again. Drop this piece on. And it drops on just like that. Look at that. See? Nice and easy. Camera will probably go back together in 5 minutes. Put that screw in there. I'll test it again before putting the rest of it together, just to make sure it's still opening and closing. Once I get these 2 screws in. Okay, let's verify that it's working before I do any more. There we go, and close. Excellent. That's what I want to see. Next, we'll put the other side cover on. This one goes on like this, and there's one ribbon cable that connects to here. Just like that. And then this side cover drops on. Just like that. I already dusted my bench and it's dusty already. I used the air compressor to blow off all the dust on here before starting on this, and it's still getting dusty. Okay, those ones are together. Now let's just start throwing some of the screws in to hold the unit together. And then the top handle will go on, and providing I haven't damaged anything, it should work. And we'll do a test recording. And I'll even take the camera out. I think I've got a battery that's charged. I might not have any, but I'll even take the camera out, and we'll take some pictures with it, and I'll show you guys what the picture quality of this unit is when it's working. Just got to put the top cover on now. I'm getting down to the last few screws. I just want to make sure I haven't missed any. Oh yeah, there's a couple more to go in over here. Okay, next is the handle. See, if I ever have to take this thing apart again, I'll know what to do first. Don't take the handle off. Well, you have to take the handle off, but don't take out the screws for the handle until you've disconnected the connectors. And these are the larger screws that hold the handle on. So we'll get these screws in first. You got to pop the covers off and take out the edge or the ribbon connectors first. Otherwise, you spend a lot of time trying to figure out. Manual would have come in handy. It would have told me which ones to take out. Manual would have said, remove the 2 covers to unplug. But as I say, that's hindsight is always 20/20, right? Pop this connector back on. Same goes for this connector up here. It just pops in place and snaps in place. Just like that. Now, when I plug power in, I should get my viewfinder and LCD screen working. Let's just make sure that they are actually working. I see the word Sony, and I see the word camera, and I see a picture from the camera. Excellent. Cover number 1 goes in place like that. And there's 2 screws to hold it in place. I'm getting kind of nervous here. I might have an extra screw or 2. That would not be good. No, I haven't. There's 3 screws remaining, and there's 3 places to put the screws. Right here, 2 of them here, and 1 that holds the other cover in place. And then there's 1 screw that holds this little cover place, that little cover piece in here. Goes in just like that. There's got to be 1 more screw left over. So this is a longer screw that holds this one in. There's 1 screw that I got to figure out where it goes. Let's figure out which one I've missed. And it's, where is it? I got to look on here. Must have missed 1 somewhere. It's right there. Okay, let's go get a tape and a battery and take this thing out and see if it works. Looks like I'm gonna need to charge a battery for a few minutes before I can go out. With the, how does this thing work? It's been so long since I used it. This fancy AC V700 battery charger. So, we'll leave this thing sit here for a few minutes. This will tell me how long it's gonna take to get a full charge. It's an info lithium. It's gonna take, oh, it says the battery is good for 2 hours and 56 minutes, but it's not charged. So this should tell me if I press the button here, it'll tell you how long it's going to take to fully charge this battery, or a full charge, right? So time to charge normal. Should figure this out in a few minutes. I think I've got a couple of other batteries too, so I might just go find one of the other ones. And this is used by my I think my Digital 8s use the same battery too. And I've got a few of these batteries kicking around here. My Digital 8 camera uses this, as does this one. And my mini DV player, or my HDV player will use it, as well as my Digital 8 Walkman uses these batteries. So I just wanted to confirm that it works before I take it out. So I just did a recording in here. I was pointing it at the TV. Our whole COVID thing is on right now. They're making their daily announcement. So as you can see, it's recording. Oh, neat thing about this thing is the LCD, you can turn the backlight out so that out in the sunlight you can see it. See that? It has a transreflective LCD. So if you're outside in the sunlight, you can turn it off and save power and still see a full color screen. How many camcorders did that? Right, most of them outside in the sun, you can't see a damn thing. But this one here, the brighter it is outside, the easier it is to see this screen. Pretty neat, huh? Anyway, I'm just letting this battery top up. We're going to take this thing out. I'm going to do some pictures with the camera itself, and then we will we'll add this to this video. And there we go, color bar generator. Okay, I'm going to head out and take some pictures. We'll see how this looks. Okay, so I'm just shooting down the hill here. I hope this is an auto on this. It's been so long since I've used this camera, I forget what to do.
It's pretty good steady shot. You hold that camera really quite steady by hand. All the ducks are out today. I've got the zebra turned on here, so every highlight I can see strobing. So I just turned the camera to manual or preset white balance. I have an auto white balance. I don't have a piece of paper with me that's white, so I can't do a preset. So I just set it to outdoor as opposed to auto, because sometimes strong colors have a tendency to mess with the auto white balance. So I'm just holding the camera down low, walking with it. Just gives you an idea of the quality that this camera is capable of shooting. Back into auto white balance. Okay, that should be probably enough for my test. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one real soon. Bye for now.